joined now in the studio by Dr. Kathleen Sullivan Brown. She is a professor of education at the College of Education at University of Missouri, St. Louis. I guess before I get to a question that we just started on there, is there any light at the end of the tunnel? First, the conversation so far tonight, what's got your blood boiling, or what's got your interest peaked, I should say?
Well, I'm very impressed with the depth of the understanding of people about this. As you said at the beginning, it is a very complex process. But I think people also see that it affects lots of different parts of our world, our real estate values, the perception of people about our city, about our region, the future of young people. So I think people are appreciating that this is a very complex topic, and I think that's important. Couple of things from my listening to the conversation, couple of things to maybe make more clear.
Please.
First of all, accreditation is not the same as governance of the school district. Those are two separate things. One of the issues with the St. Louis Public Schools was a change in the governance, where the elected school board was replaced with the special administrative board. And that was
the takeover by the state, as people know it.
Yeah, that's what they call the state takeover, but really there's nobody at the state who could come down to St. Louis and run the schools.
That three-person board is appointed.
Right, so they appoint a group of people locally, and that's also been done in Riverview Gardens. And so taking over and not eliminating, kind of pushing to the side, if you will, an elected board was a huge step. One that the state did not want to take lightly. We're about to have an election. We are very committed to our democratic processes, and yet it was felt that this problem is so serious, it had to be done, even though we're so reluctant to do that. And to put it in a bigger context, the state of Missouri and the legislature are responsible for all of the school children, almost 1 million of them, in our state.
In the entire state?
In the entire state.
Those decisions are coming out of Jefferson City.
And it sort of delegates those powers to local school boards. Yeah. But it can't give up that power. It's still incumbent constitutionally on the legislature specifically, who is in charge of this. They can't give up that responsibility, and if the local school districts aren't doing it, somebody has to step in. And I know that it was a big step, and it was you can tell by the emotion that many people are talking about. It's a blow. And yet, we can't have generations of kids not getting what they need educationally.
So people look at accreditation, and it's they definitely look at it. It's not a fun word to toss around,
no,
but a necessary word. It sounds like what I'm hearing.
Well, and I
think,
and maybe for people who are in different kinds of professions, it might also help. Lots of professions have accreditation. We have accreditation in medicine, there's an architectural board.
Right.
Whenever you have a special expertise, they get a bunch of experts to look at what's happening, because not everyone can look at a school and say, well, I think you're doing a good job. It takes some special expertise. And so that's what the educational accreditation is. The state has to do that because we spend, on average, about $9,500 per student statewide for almost 1 million students. So that is a huge investment on the part of our state.
How do we make it better? How do we the conversation we just kind of touched on there at the end, how do we make it better?
Well, I think it is also important to see accreditation as a process for telling us what needs to get better. It helps lay the groundwork and a blueprint for here's where we need to make the changes, make the improvements. It is a continuous improvement process. And MSIP 5, actually when NCLB first came on the
No Child
scene,
Left Behind.
Yes, thank you.
I spent all week learning these acronyms.
Yes.
I learned a lot of acronyms. I want to make sure I use them all.
So when that law came about, as one of the people in the Hangout said, all the children were supposed to be above average. You know, it's the woebegone thing. That educators would tell you that that's not possible. So from the beginning of No Child Left Behind, educators said what we need is a growth model. If schools, teachers, districts are doing a good job with the kids they have, and those children are progressing, that's good. And that's the kind of reassurance that we need as taxpayers, as the state, that we're not wasting our money, we're not spinning our wheels, we're not wasting the lives of these young people, but we are moving them forward. Because of concentration of poverty, as the one woman said, we have to acknowledge that poverty has an impact on learning. Many children don't have enough medical care.
Right.
They have lots of issues that prevent them from learning.